Welcome, welcome. This is the Inner Enlightenment Show, and I'm your host, Laurie Schoenfeld. Thank you for all of those who are joining us live and for those who will join us later on the replay. We are so very excited to have you here joining in the conversation with us. Our guest today is someone who is insanely inspiring to me and has quite the warrior story. I'm absolutely honored to have her here with us, sharing her heart and her journey with us. We have Miss Andy-Garcia Ruse joining us. She is an audiobook narrator, a mental health therapist, and a brain injury survivor. We're going to be talking all about healing from a brain injury. Welcome, welcome, Andy. So honored to have you here with us today.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you too. How are you over in your world? What are you creating within family, yourself, work? What's kind of been stirring over there?
I would say right now a big focus in life is just really creating and focusing on that work-life balance, making sure I can have that with me time with my kiddo, my husband, and then also for work, obviously. So trying to focus on honing that skill.
Mm-hmm. That is a beautiful skill. And I love how you said honing that skill, because there's definitely different structure systems that you need to work to make everything flow in the way that you want to create your life.
Yes, absolutely. And everybody's a little different. So I'm trying to figure out what works best for Andy and for our life here.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I love that so much. So what are you today? What have you been enjoying as far as the weather over in your side of the town?
So I'm in Kansas City, and we're starting to see spring kind of pop up. It's kind of a joke, like, or we get like a hint of spring, and then it's like snow, and then it's like wind, and then it's like a thunderstorm, and it's a tornado. But today it's pretty promising with the sun. The wind is really big, but I will take any glimpse of spring, that season of renewal and refreshment and hope. So I'm like holding on to it.
I love spring too. We have some birds singing in our trees the past few days. We can open the window and hear the birds.
Oh, I love that.
So let's talk about what happened where your life shifted from one day you were moving along at a very specific pace and speed, and then you had an incident with a brain injury that shifted your life story.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you letting me have a chance to share, because honestly, not too many people outside of like my immediate circle of close family members really know much about my story. And this is March, so it's Brain Injury Awareness Month. So I think it's very fitting to have a space to share it. My story, like you said, a mental health therapist. I just got this dream job working for the fire department's union here in town. Been wanting to do this for a long time. So excited. I'd be in charge of building their program director and building up the mental health program for them, helping with crisis counseling for suicidal or addiction and other kind of needs. And 2 days after I got this job, I got hit by somebody. I was driving my daughter to my mom's house. Beautiful day, nothing, going on. And I got hit. She kind of hit me like not quite head on, but almost head on. Airbags all went off. I lost consciousness. And then I hit a tree after that. So I kind of had a 2-for-1 accident. But I think the tree was probably the one that did the most damage, because I wasn't protected at that point, because I've already had all my airbags go off. And I knew right away after I came to that I was injured. And, fast forwarding past like the initial ambulance and hospitalization, those injuries were pretty self-explanatory, neck brace, wrist, leg, ankle, foot, that kind of thing. It wasn't until almost 2 weeks after the accident that I was just like, something is not right. And we ended up being rushed to the ER on Valentine's Day. My poor husband. What a Valentine's Day. Because the accident was on February 3rd, 2019. So on February 14th, we ended up in the ER. And the ER physician, what a blessing. He was like, have you had an assessment on your brain? And I was like, not really. He's like, I'm going to connect you to somebody. So they connected me with the physician who specializes in brain injury. His name's Dr. Dyke. He's amazing. He is the doctor who's done worked for the Olympic volleyball team for the US. He's the doctor that works with our hockey team locally and all kinds of other sports medicine related injuries. And I started working with him and found out I had a concussion, and that was post-concussion syndrome, some of those symptoms that were starting to happen. And he immediately got me connected into services. So I started speech language therapy, vestibular therapy, physical therapy, those types of things, which it's so funny because as a therapist, I knew what a traumatic brain injury was, a TBI. I knew what it was. I've even had maybe a couple of clients who had a TBI. But since we weren't trained on it in grad school, and it's not like something that was covered by our continuing education, I really didn't know what to expect or anything. I just knew that I needed to be in services. And so I started my journey because even to this day, I have double vision out to about 40 inches. So I have this really cool thing called a prism glasses, and they're hideous, but my neuro-ophthalmologist made them, and they basically trick my eyes with the reflection of light to make them kind of all join together so I see one word instead of multiple words. But that's kind of getting ahead of myself. I think the biggest thing was right after the accident, I had to move in with my mom because I needed a round-the-clock caretaker. I couldn't talk. Obviously, not just that, but I was having really, really terrible intrusive PTSD, seeing the flashbacks of the accident. I was really scared. I had uncontrollable seizures, and I had 3 mini strokes. So there's just a lot of very taxing medical things going on. And meanwhile, here I am trying to keep this job, trying to keep going because it's my baby, and I wasn't allowed to drive. But I physically couldn't drive anyway. I was having what are called dissociative events. So I would be driving and I knew I was driving, but my body was disconnected and I couldn't tell my brain to tell my foot to push on the brake, things like that. So my neurologist was like, yeah, you're not going to be permitted to drive. So I'm Ubering to work, and I'm a very optimistic, upbeat person. So I'm just trying to cheerlead myself. You got this. You got this. Meanwhile, little did my employer know, I'd get in the Uber after I'd be at work for a little bit, and I would just cry. And I'd get home and I'd sleep 8 hours after just being at work for a few hours. But I was really trying. And obviously the speech was a big thing because I'm an extrovert. I love to speak. I used to do public speaking. I used to do continuing education training. And here I am struggling to speak. It was awful. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to start reading. I'm going to start reading aloud. So I started reading aloud, and it helped me to develop some neural pathways to teach my brain to speak again. But fast forward at the end of July, so it's been a few months, I went to renew my therapy license, and the board said, because there's a little check mark and it says, kind of have you ever been convicted of a felony? Those kind of things. And it's do you now, or have you had a TBI? And I was like, oh, they're asking that? And I was like, well, not ethical to be working with people who are suicidal and thinking, oh, did I get them help or not? So my boards for Kansas, because Kansas City's a border city, so I'm licensed in Kansas and Missouri. And Kansas said, well, we can't renew you, but if your doctor says that you're cleared to practice, then we can reevaluate, which obviously didn't happen. And Missouri follows suit with Kansas. So here I am, a few months out. My doctor was like, no, consider this your retirement. And I was like, all of a sudden, in my head, I thought, rock bottom. I'm already struggling with this horrible medical situation. And then I have my career shift. And I kind of thought, oh, okay, this is surreal, right? This can't be real. But, it was kind of the beginning of I would say my hero's journey. That was the beginning of hitting the rock bottom. Obviously, when you lose, a large income, we couldn't afford to live on our house. We had a really nice house in a beautiful neighborhood. We had to sell our house. We had to go move to a smaller one. My daughter was in private school. We couldn't afford to keep her there anymore, so she had to switch schools. And on top of that, I had changed. In the brain injury world, we talk about old me versus new me. And it was like the old me died. And there's this new person emerging, but I don't recognize them. They don't think the same. They don't seem the same. There's all these limitations. And you're like, how do I come to grips with this? And also you have to remember, once you leave your job and you're at home, it's like overnight, your entire world is gone. You lose that connection of colleagues, friends. I mean, because I couldn't hold a conversation. I literally wore sunglasses and left and stayed in dark rooms and wore earplugs for a year straight. I used to joke I was like a vampire. And I'm not kidding. Like, my doctor made me take ridiculous amounts of vitamin D because I wasn't having any exposure. So I'm here. I would say I was going through a strong grieving period. This death of me. And on the outside, people, if they talk to me, maybe they talk to me for 5-10 minutes. It's like, oh, you seem the same. And I'm like, if only you knew. Like, the whole time I'm sitting there talking to people and I'm like, what's the word? What's the word? What's the word? Purse, things like that. It's called aphasia, word finding. So I'm trying so hard in my head, and they have this internal struggle that they don't even know. And I think that's the blessing and the curse of like social media, because when I post stuff, they get a snapshot of something I want people to see. I want them to see that, hey, I'm still going, but that's just one tiny moment. Maybe after I took that picture, I'm crying and laying in bed. So I'm trying to get through it. I'm reading books, trying to keep motivated to survive. And, since I am a therapist, I knew what I needed. And I immediately got into my own therapy because my PTSD was so overwhelming. I was crippled by it. I was literally laying on the floor in my closet underneath clothes every night because I was just so afraid. And my poor husband's like, I don't know how to help you. And my poor daughter, she's having her own stuff and she's in therapy because she went through the accident with me. So I'm going through this, and I felt like I went through a period of why me? Why is this happening to me? I don't understand. And finally, one day something kind of shifted. I'll be honest, it wasn't anytime soon. It was after a good year. Something shifted. And instead of thinking, why me? I started thinking, what can I get from this? What does this mean for me? And I try to reframe all those thoughts, because there were small things that I didn't think about. Losing the jobs that I've had. I mean, for the last 10 years, I've either been an on-call therapist, so I'm literally 24/7 glued to my phone, or I've been traveling out of town to see different clients and hospitals and things like that. So I've had life away from my family. Now here I am, literally forced to be at home. So my family sees me more. It brought all of my sisters and my dad and my mom and us like all closer together, because unfortunately I needed them in a way that I've never needed people, because I've always been very independent. But that shift happened, and I realized that, okay, I can't control my circumstances. I can't control that my brain doesn't work like it is. I can't control what the outcomes have been, but I can control how I respond to it. And that was, to me, the beginning of my healing journey. And that was after a year. So I took the steps and I said, literally, I was like, Lord, I need purpose. I can't just sit here with no purpose when I've been a go person my entire life. And I was like, I'll do whatever. I'll go work as a barista or make cupcakes or something. But I couldn't, because even right now I'm in my studio. See this light? Usually I live like this because I can't deal with the light. But I was like, you know what? Let's go back to that whole reading books thing, because it helped me so much with my speech. And I loved it. And I found this old journal entry from 3 years prior to my accident that said, I need you to finish writing your book or become an audiobook narrator. Those are some of your goals. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to do it. And so I found my purpose and I started recording. and it has revolutionized my healing process. So I know people in my industry sometimes, I'll be honest, they probably get annoyed how I'm like, you understand, audiobooks saved my life, because it sounds cheesy probably, and it probably sounds whatever, but like they don't understand. Like, it gave me purpose. It literally brought my voice back. I was speaking to a neurologist about this down in Miami, and he was like, I want you to come down here. I want to do an fMRI on your brain, and I want to see what your brain does when you're reading and narrating audiobooks, because this is special. This is something we don't see every day. And so that's just kind of the basic background of where I am. And the journey still goes on. I'm still in occupational therapy and vestibular therapy and physical therapy. And I still have daily struggles, I'm not going to lie. I nap every day. But as I've said to people, yes, I'm disabled, and that is my experience, but I'm more than my disability. And I can do almost everything that somebody else can do. I just have to do it different, and it may take me longer to get there, but I can do it. So that's a little bit about my story.
Wow, wow, wow.
Oh, it can make me cry.
That is so powerful and inspiring, and I so appreciate you sharing that, Andy. We often take for granted how our voice just comes naturally, and what would happen if we didn't have that ability
Yeah.
anymore. And I'm listening to your story, and I'm just taking all of that in, of how we take so much of that voice for granted.
Yeah.
What we can use every day, and we don't oftentimes. My question leading into that, first, you are an amazing and beautiful and powerful woman.
Thank you.
And I know that many are going to be touched, just like I'm extremely touched right now. And I really appreciate you sharing your story with us. When that happened and you weren't able to communicate in the way that you have relied on and known for so long, can you walk us through some of the different experiences that you learned about yourself while you learned to communicate in a different way?
Yeah. I would say at first, all I could focus on was the pain of feeling trapped. And as an expressive, anybody, we all need to communicate, but especially as me, like such an expressive person, where I felt like literally my voice was gone. It was like this overwhelming bleakness. And I think I'm fortunate in a way because my grandma, she had had a stroke. And so she had suffered with, some speech problems after her stroke. And my mom took care of my grandma. She lived with us. So my mom was able to really, it's like truly miraculous that I'm with her and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking in my head, please, can somebody understand what I'm trying to say? And my mom would get it. It was like, she's like, you're trying to say this, you need this, you want this. And I'm like, yes, that's it. And I think there was a lot of shame associated with this because I'm kind of a proud person. Like, I don't like people to see me fail or not be the me that I used to be. And so I didn't want to tell anybody, hey, I'm struggling so bad. So I'm not even sure if a lot of people knew how bad it was. But I think from my experience, trying to figure out how to talk and communicate with people, surrounding myself with those who had empathy was probably the best thing. I was so blessed to have an amazing medical team because they actually were like a whole team. And actually, talk about how God just puts things in place. My neighbor, my next door neighbor, well, on the little cul-de-sac, 2 neighbors down, actually was like the program director for the rehab that I went to. So I had all these ins and I had people just pouring into my life that wanted me to succeed. And they challenged me. And since they're from an industry that understands brain injured people, they helped. Now, other people, not so much. I quickly learned that I couldn't share my journey with people because, and it's not malicious, but I think some people don't know. And so when I'm saying, like, literally, I'm over here, I'm like, I don't know if I washed my hair. Did I use shampoo? Did I use conditioner? I don't know. I don't remember. It was 5 seconds ago. So either I'm washing my hair multiple times or not. And I try to tell somebody, and they're like, oh, yeah, I forget things too. And I'm like, oh, I would love to just forget something, but it's not like that. I mean, it's not like that at all. So I kind of learned that if there was people around me that made me feel worse, then I need to maybe not include them in my primary support circle at the beginning, because I only needed strong people who could understand and I could trust to be very vulnerable with, you know?
Yes. So you have epilepsy that you still go through to this day. Did that begin after your accident, or did you have that before your accident?
So I got diagnosed with epilepsy in college, and it's a big deal, but I've been managed, never had a problem with it. But when this accident happened, I just kept having all these breakthrough seizures that we couldn't
Mhm.
control. And that's not uncommon after a head injury, because literally your brain is just firing all over the place and it's just having a hard time adjusting. But the problem is, number one, when you have seizures, obviously you can't drive, because what can happen is if I have a grand mal and I'm driving, then I could kill myself or other people on the highway. So you're already dealing with the seizure aspect. And then you take away your freedom. So you can't drive, you're trapped, you're isolated, you can't do anything. But also, the treatment for epilepsy, they have these anti-epileptic medications, but what they do is they make you drowsy. So when you're
Mm.
sleeping 18 hours a day, you're like, what kind of quality of life do I actually have at this point? You know? Even to this day, I have chronic headaches, which everybody gets headaches, I know. What's funny, not funny, haha, but it's just at this point, it's almost like I forgot what it's like to live without a headache. On an average, it's like a 4 to a 6, which for people would probably be like, oh my goodness, this headache's killer. But for me, I'm used to it. But if I get to like an 8 or a 10 and I'm just crippled, debilitated, it's bad. So I'm still trying to learn different modalities about treatment and even holistic and alternative measures, things that I can do to help, because it's hard to get through the day when you have to try to focus and you've got this pain. So yeah,
Mhm.
the epilepsy took about 10 months to get under control. We had to do a bunch of studies, bunch of studies. They were trying to see what kind of triggers were there and how they could fix it and which part of the brain was impacted. And I have generalized epilepsy, which means the whole brain. And then I also have temporal lobe epilepsy. So that means it's like one part of the brain that's being activated for my seizures. So it's kind of a lot.
I mean, you are really talking about so many things that really need to be heard and shared. Of You're talking about headaches, chronic headaches, which I've never experienced what you've experienced. I've had a minor headache, and those are horrible.
Mm,
So you're talking multiple layers of needing to almost reinvent your life and yourself,
yes.
from epilepsy to your brain injury and also PTSD.
Mhm.
That's a whole different layer
Yeah.
of emotional and mental health that just takes you for a loop,
Mhm.
that you have to almost relearn everything all over again too, that didn't used to be so scary, that now really is a big part
Yeah.
of your reality. Um, that takes it to one day at a time. That's been kind of a common theme that I've talked to a lot of guests on, is instead of looking at the big picture of everything on mental health, just taking it one day at a time and seeing what you can do each day, and that's just enough in whatever your journey is. What has that looked like for you with your emotional and mental health as you've been walking through supporting and healing on your own personal journey? What's the one day at a time felt like for Andy?
I think that is so great you brought that up. And clearly there's got to be something to that if a lot of us feel that same way. Because for me, literally every day is different.
Mm.
And I know everybody has different days from, but even as a joke, people say same thing, different day, not the same. Like it's like literally every day is different. And so from a PTSD side, I live about 20 minutes from an air base. And so sometimes I hear these loud training exercises and drills. And so daily, I'm just like having these panic attacks. I'm struggling with that. And then at night, when I can't sleep and I have panic attacks like I'm dying and then reliving flashbacks. So throughout the day, I try to input systems into place to try to help me, protective factors, things that remind me that I'm safe, that I'm secure, that I'm loved, that I'm okay. And so prayer, meditation, mindfulness, grounding exercises have been very important for me. And I feel like I had a leg up because I was a therapist. So I already knew right off the bat what to do. And I was able to go from teaching other people how to do them to like making myself do them. So that was a very unique experience in of itself. It's like the whole giving your dose of your own medicine. And there's that quote about doctors making the worst patients. I think it's the same for therapists, because in our headspace, we know everything, but in our heart space, it's different to live through it. So I think it was kind of a pro and a con, but day at a time. And I think now that I've stepped back and it's been 2 years, February 3rd, I've been able to see, like when my husband and I talk, or my mom, and my mom, she's so sweet, literally every day, she'll send me a message. Hey, don't forget to pack your child's lunch, or don't forget to put her jacket in the car, or don't forget you have a doctor's appointment, because I don't remember these things. But I still have those supports in place. I have schedules and calendars and Post-it notes everywhere. But from a mental health side, I've realized that I had to count all my blessings, and each little bitty incremental growth that I've done, I claim those victories, because they're not like this, but even though they're like this, I'm going to latch on to each and every one of them, because that's hope. And I think you need that hope planted for it to grow and sprout, and that gives you something to continue to look forward to and water and nurture. So right now, I'm just watering my little baby plant, basically, and that's okay.
Oh, the steps of celebrating the steps. I love that. Of every step doesn't need to be small, gigantic, middle, whatever that looks like for you, celebrating that movement from day to day. I love, Andy, how you mentioned that audiobooks saved your life, as that was a healing part of you finding a new piece of Andy and reinventing yourself. I would love for you to share your experience about audiobooks and what you're doing with those right now in your life.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm super passionate about it because it's part of my identity now. And so in a way, I have a very different outlook than a lot of my colleagues about audiobooks, because obviously it's a job, and it's a job for everybody else. But for me, and don't tell my husband I said this, but even if I didn't make any money ever, I would still do this because it's so important to me. And since it's, like I said, it's almost like daily going to therapy, because I'm daily talking and practicing. And I'm not going to lie, I still struggle. I have colleagues that I look at, and I can compare myself to them and say, wow, they're so amazing. Like when I watch them narrating live and they can read a whole page at a time, and I'm like, oh, I'm so jealous. But with me, I have obviously some difficulties. So maybe I read a couple sentences and then my brain literally goes, okay, stop, refocus. Okay, there you are. Now we can go again. So I can do it. It's just very different. But what I would say is, in some ways, I feel like this profession has been reinforced as a blessing, because I keep getting work. And so I'm busy, and obviously that's a little overwhelming, but like I showed you earlier with my little board, I'm overwhelmed. But I feel like that's been the blessing that I've received. It's like, you know what? Everything got taken away from you, but I'm going to give you back in abundance. And so I'm so thankful for like each and every book that I land, because it reinforces that I've got the skills. And even though I'm not what I once was and I never will be, I'm a new person, and I've got the ability to do this. and keep getting jobs is showing that I can. So I'm so thankful. I mostly narrate young adult books, YA, as it's called, just because my voice lends itself to it. I'm pretty upbeat and perky, and I kind of live in that higher vocal range. And I do like sweet romances, kind of like not steamy romances, kind of sweet. I love sci-fi and dystopian and paranormal and things like that. And I found amazing authors who also love my voice. And so we've been able to get that work going. So I love it. It's so amazing. Every day I look forward to coming into the booth and being able to record, continue my healing process, have the sense of purpose, hopefully make some money, because obviously losing my income was a huge blow to our family. But at the end of the day, I'm alive, and that's more important. And this is an icing on the cake. This is a bonus that I wouldn't have had, because I have a lot of friends who aren't able to do anything. And so this, actually being able to work from home and control my schedule, take naps, take breaks, go to the rehab, go to the doctors, I feel very specially privileged and blessed.
Oh, you had a quote that you posted that ties so beautifully into what you just said of every day is a second chance. And that again, with our voice, we often take for granted the gift of every single day.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that gift with all of us and reminding us how precious life is and how precious our voice is. And I hope for those that are listening, I know I've learned so much from you today, Andy, hearing your story of that each one of us can leave today remembering what we do have, as we have much, and to use them to the very best of our ability and use those gifts that we've been given. They're there for a reason. Yes. And there's a purpose for them. Do you get a lot of book mail, Andy?
Sometimes I love book mail. It's like my favorite.
So that I wondered if you got book mail sometimes for a book that you're going to be narrating or doing the voice for, to kind of get a feel for the character. Do you get that sometimes?
Yeah.
That's cool. I love that.
Me too.
We're going to turn it to the inner child questions section. Are you ready?
I love this part. Yes.
Me too. Every week I'm like, yes, here's the inner child segment. All right, Andy, first question. What are the things you do most that feel playful and creative to you?
I like to do a couple things. I like to color with my daughter, or like by myself. It's kind of hard because I've got nerve damage in my right hand, and I'm in occupational therapy for it. So without being too critical of myself, it doesn't look the way it used to. But I have learned to use my left hand, which is obviously I'm right hand dominant, pretty well. So I think part of the reason why I like it is because it almost challenges me. Like, hey, can I hold the pencil? I have this cool like thing that makes me be able to grip it, and I can hold it, or I have like a wrist brace. But I love how relaxing it is to use the beautiful colors and to create something. I love sketching and coloring. I love to bake. Baking is like one of my favorite things. The only problem I have with baking is there's something called sequencing, which is a deficit that I have. Basically, sequencing is when there's multiple steps you have to do. It's really hard for a brain-injured person to do it. So literally, it looks kind of like this. 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of flour. Okay, flour. Now what? Add sugar, add sugar, add sugar, add sugar. So you kind of just have to do it a little different, but I love the end result. I bake gluten-free stuff just because that's what I need. And it's just so fun and creative. And I also, I love to play Barbies with my daughter, because that's where we get to enter into like a truly creative world. Sometimes I get to make up being a villain with one of the girls who's a mean girl, or make up different characters. And then later on I use them in my narration, or I'll try out a character and see how she responds to it. And sometimes she's like, Mommy, I don't like that voice. And I'm like, okay, good to know. Child does not like the sound of Caitlin's voice. Got it. Okay. So those are kind of the things I like to do for creativity and fun.
I am so giddy specifically with the Barbie comment, because I have Barbies on my writing desk. And
Yes. That's awesome.
I remember even when I was 13, like my Barbies would play Wheel of Fortune, like on the computer. And I had each one of my Barbies in line taking turns. And I'd even do like the high fives with each other and everything and role play. It was the best.
That sounds like what I would do.
Andy, come over anytime. We'll play Barbies. You're always invited. What is one of your favorite gluten-free recipes that you enjoy quite a bit?
Well, I would say my old favorite food used to be pizza. And now, granted, I found out about my gluten thing a long time ago, before like there was like gluten-free like alternatives. Back then it was like really there was nothing. So I was pretty excited. One time I was in Nashville, and we were driving downtown Nashville, and there was this huge sign. It was like gluten-free pasta. And I was like, stop the car. We're going there for dinner. Oh my goodness, y'all. And so I went in there. I got to have gluten-free pizza and spaghetti. And I was so excited because it didn't taste awful. Because for so long, everything just tasted like cardboard or mush or styrofoam. It was so good. You would never know. So I was pretty excited. So that's kind of my exciting thing about food.
Getting your food.
What? Can you say that again? I'm sorry. My screen paused.
You're totally fine. We jolted. I just saw the visual of you just stopping the truck or the car and you happily just popping out of the car. Like that was a very happy visual.
Yeah. I scared everybody in the car. I guarantee they were like, oh my goodness, what's going on? I'm like, there's gluten-free stuff.
No, did you do the full blown like stop the car?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because it was we were coming up on the hotel, but it was like 2 buildings away, and I was like, oh, guys.
I love that. I do that sometimes with Girl Scout cookies, especially when I was pregnant.
Have gluten-free now. I have to try them out.
Do you? They are delicious.
Oh, I can't wait to try one.
Second question. Since we just talked about this, we'll tie it nicely into our next question. What is the oddest food combo that you've liked and tried, or you've just tried?
Okay. Don't think this is weird, but it's weird. So starting in childhood, I've always been the pickiest eater you'll ever meet. Like literally, ask my family. I haven't eaten corn in my entire life. One time, I put a piece of corn on my tooth, and my dad's like, not leaving this table till you finish that piece of corn. And I was like, for 2 hours. And he was like, just go eventually. So I had to like get creative because I was so picky. I was like, I'm going to pretend like I'm a chef and I'm going to make up my own creations. So I quickly got attached to applesauce. And so for some reason, applesauce became my condiment. And I ate everything in applesauce. Doesn't matter if it was hamburgers, chicken nuggets, hot dogs, chips, everything went in applesauce. So even to this day, roast beef, random, it goes in applesauce. And I think people kind of look at me and they're like, why is she at this nice restaurant ordering some side of applesauce? That would be why.
You're consistent though.
Yeah.
So you're definitely consistent with your sauce.
Yes.
Of course. I love that. I can say I've never tried that, but I can see like applesauce with pork. Like I actually was thinking about that. Like that's a nice little savory, sweet type.
Hot dog wasn't so good, but pork chop, yes.
Okay, yeah.
Pork, yes. Hot dog was even for me. Hot dog was kind of gross, so it was pushing the boundaries.
That's the heads up. No hot dog, folks, with the applesauce. You can try pork. Before we end today, Andy, what last of advice would you like to leave the viewers with on reminding them of different things that are important within life?
I would say, even though this has been not an experience that I wish anybody to go through, it really, like you said, taught me to value and take so much appreciation for everything. It also taught me that you really can go through like rock bottom life experiences and overcome. And there was a time I really didn't think I was going to be able to pull through some of this during that course of my recovery. And so if I would say, no matter what is going on in your life, as dark as it can be, there's always light. And if you can just hold on to that little bit of light, like I said, that can pull you through. Like that whole example of the light in the tunnel. You're in that tunnel, just focus on the light. Because for me, that's all I had. I had that little bit of light. And that could have come in various forms, my family, church, my faith, just those little snippets of light. And I've come out on the better side, honestly, a better person than I could have ever imagined, because I value everything and I have so much appreciation for everything, more than I ever did. And also, I'll be honest with you, being kind of vulnerable, I've always been a little bit more of a selfish person, kind of like I'm gonna take care of me because I matter. And now, having been like everybody had to take care of me and I depended on everybody else, I think it's made me appreciate the value of connection with everybody. Not being so me focused, but us, community focused. So that's part of the reason why I love special groups like Superheroes Unleashed, for example, because I feel like there's such community and then we can all go through things together. So I think finding that connection and community is really important too.
Thank you for being here with us, Sandy, and sharing your story, your heart, and your voice. It's been such an honor to have you here with us today. Where can they find you, the viewers, if they have any questions or comments that they would like to touch base with you on
Oh,
later?
yes. Thank you for saying that. I was just in a group last night called like the DEI Initiative group. And one of the things I said was brain injuries, like any disability, people tend to get a little uncomfortable. And maybe maybe it's like the elephant in the room. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to ask about it. I don't feel that way. I would rather people ask me anything they want, and I can help them so that they can gain an understanding, or if they want to just share or chat, or maybe they've gone through something similar and they need somebody to say, how did you do this? Then maybe we can connect. You can reach out to me on Facebook, add me as a friend, or send me a message, or on Instagram. You can DM me there. I'm only a phone call away. I'm happy to help anybody because I know in my own way what my lived experience has been. And if anybody's got something that they've gone through, I would love to help go through it together with them because I know how important that community is.
We will put all your links down in the comments below. So those who are watching who would like to get personally in contact with Andy, there will be multiple resources there. Thank you again, Andy, for being here with us. I so appreciate you and your time. Before we end today, just remember as you go about your day to find the things that are working all around you and to be able to really use your voice with what you have in your life, with the breath that you are being given at this moment. It's a gift. We will see you next Monday right here at 3:00 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Have a beautiful rest of the week. Thank you. Thank you, Andy.